Today I'm doing my tips at 2, which, as some of you may know, I started way back in lockdown. And tips at 2 is all about skills, really. Sometimes I just do a design, but mainly it's about skills. And that's what this one's about really today. And it's skills talking about dots and how to do dots. Because if you've got the right brush, and that's what it all comes down to, then you can create dots very simply. So that's what I want to show you today. I'm going to use my very favourite brush, which is part of the Juliet Eve collection of brushes, which I'll show you in just a second. And then, and it's called the dot comma, for obvious reasons. It's particularly good for doing dots, but it also does comma strokes. So comma strokes are the ones sort of fat and come down to thin, as opposed to teardrops, which are thin to thick. But let me first of all show you how we make our dots. So first of all, always dip your brush into water and then mix. This is the dot comma I was talking about. So it's a number 4, and it's got a point, but not a sharp, super sharp point, and that's what we want in this. We want a sort of blunt tip. And it's important to mix up a nice solution here, which is quite creamy. I'm going to mix this up a little bit more. Like that. Keep going. And then when it's sort of super creamy like that and the brush is fully loaded, I will then very gently wipe off the excess, not bending the brushes. So the bristle's still full, the reservoir is still full, and then I pick up the tip, a little scoop up the tip, and then you can make your dots. And it's important to keep the brush pretty much upright. So having filled the brush nice and full, I can now use the dots. So literally dead upright, and the beauty of this brush is it produces really super round dots. Okay. And then just by applying a bit more pressure, you can get a fatter dot. So quite often when you're doing loops and things, it's quite nice to vary it. And so you can get a really big dot. And then by just releasing the pressure, you can get tiny dots. And then really, whenever you do any kind of line work, think about those shapes that we do as a standard, like, I don't know, a crown or something, and you can do that with dots as well. So let's just bring that down. So if I was going to do this sort of thing, and once you get practiced, you can actually do this pretty quickly. Always steadying with one finger if you can. And you can repeat and continue the pattern as you wish. And then I could do, say, a shorter one coming from here and from over there. And you can even curve the points around like that. Making more like sort of paisley shapes. But this could easily be you know, as a crown. It just makes a change, and that's what I'm always after, trying to do something a bit different. Maybe if you want to make a really big dot, you can actually form draw a circle, which makes for a bit of variety. You can even put a few little teardrops, comma strokes, and add them like that. That's the sort of thing, just to make some designs. Right, so what I thought I would do is something on this board. Start with a nice big dot at the focal point there, and then we'll take it round and make a kind of swirl. Okay, this is the first one. And then we take one below as well. Make these kind of S shapes. And then maybe we can make it around the eye even. So what I'm going to do is put a larger dot around about here, which is kind of near the highest point. And we'll have one directly underneath about here, so I can make a large dot there, and then we can join them up with smaller ones. And take those all the way down, getting smaller and smaller as you can. Then we could do, say, some little swirl in the center here. Another one in here. You can see this, if you load up your brush well, because the reservoir has also got the paint in it, it draws down. And let's take one from here. Let's make a larger dot there, and then get them smaller coming in. But as I say, for this type of thing, you've got to have a nice a brush with a blunt tip. You don't want a very pointy tip, so that you can, when you press, it just increases the round shape rather than bending. So there we go. Have some little ones in there maybe, and I think that will do. So you could also do it add some different colours. Have a go at a sort of classic crown shape. So we're going to start with a larger dot there and bring it down as far as we can to about there, and take that there and here, so that gives you some marker points. Go from there. And then we'll just make a gentle curve coming round to join those two and these two. And we could perhaps reverse it, make the curve come inwards. Just vary it slightly. I'll take one from there and one from there. and put one over there and one, match it around about here. And they're just such fun to do. And I'm going to add some different colours in on this one. I'm going to put some pink in. So I'm using the same dot comma, number 4 again, loading up really well, and I want a nice creamy mix in the middle there. So I can now pick up the tip, just get a little dollop at the end. Add some pink, it just gives it something else. So you really do have to keep your brush dead upright. That's a bit too much there. Otherwise the shape of the dots won't be round. So I say again, completely dotty here. But I love doing it, it's such fun. You can get quite carried away. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as this. You can do a simple one, and as I say, you can add some teardrops as well if you want. Little groups of 3, quite fun. You can even make little flower shapes around them. So it's almost like a petal. What's the difference between a dot comma and a desert island number 4? Right, good question. So this is the dot comma, and it has quite a blunt tip. And if I get the dot comma, sorry, get the desert island, this is the desert island, really, really pointy. Can you see how pointy that is if just put them side by side? So these are both number 4s. So the ferrule, the metal part, is the same, but I don't know if you can see how one is really pointy and one has got a blunt round end. And if I tried to make a dot with a desert island, it struggles. It can't do any more than a tiny, tiny one. So what tends to happen, so this is the desert island now, and these are designed for the sort of TTT strokes, anything where you start thin, but it's quite difficult to make a dot with these. So if I do, it tends to be, well, I'm working hard, but because the tip is so sharp, it means that as soon as it touches down, it bends, so you end up with a kind of little line. And if you can see that clearly, but it doesn't make perfect dots. You can work hard and try and get them. You can make really tiny ones, literally with the very, very tip, but it's not designed, doesn't make easy dots because it's too sharp. Yeah, the tip is too pointy, so that as soon as you put it down, those 3 little hairs actually bend over and doesn't make a proper dot. Hope that helps, Bella. Let's just take that off. So anyway, there's a little crown. I think it just needs, what I'm going to do with the dot comma is, as I've done little flowers around there, I think or petals around the end one, that's what I'm going to do with this. And here. And this one. So, you know, those who know me, I'm not really into teaching designs. It's techniques that I'm always after. And so this is just a technique that you can pick up and make your own. So just think of all the designs you do, all the shapes that you do, and consider how you can, as I say, change it and make it your own. As there's 3 here, I think I could go round this one. That's why I'm struggling. I've got the wrong brush. Notice how the last ones are too pointy. It's because I actually picked up the wrong brush. I thought I had it loaded. Let's try again. Bella, that was a perfect example of how the desert island doesn't do very good dots. Can you see these are actually, they've got sort of points at the end. Anyway, let's carry on with the dot comma, doing what I was doing. So I'm going to make little petals around here. You see, they're lovely and round. That's what we wanted. Trying to improve the ones I made with the wrong brush. There we go. Lovely. Well, there we are. There's a couple of little designs that you can change and make your own. It's just a very simple one, which was an eye design. Just, you know, I often do much more, well, quite often do more geometric designs, a bit more like this one, around the eye. But you can do that, or you can do them as crowns. I could have added some dots around here as well. So there's plenty of scope for it. Lovely. So that was just a very quick tips at 2 today, showing you how you can develop some designs just using dots. And I hope it's useful for you. I'd love to see what you can do with it. And as I say, it's not all about me and designs, it's about techniques. And if you use those techniques, you can then produce your own things. You know, if you want to learn any more of this kind of stuff on the fan club, that's what I teach. It's you know, so much more about techniques and really good foundation skills of line work and you know, sponging and everything else. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you the next time I do Tips at 2, which is usually the first Tuesday of the month. Okay, thanks a lot.